Hello, hello, hello. We're here. Must remember that Google Chrome seems to be incompatible with YouTube at the moment. And I have to use Safari. Remember that. Every week, Darren, you have to do that. Otherwise, you find yourself locked out of your own live stream. Peep is here. Just me and you, Peep. Just me and you. No one else. There's no one else. It's that awkward 15 minutes where we just kind of stare at each other and go, brr. That wasn't too bad tonight, was it? Near enough. 11:15. I'm sorry. It's just you know it's like can't take the dog out until I've said goodnight to Verity, and Verity takes ages to get ready for bed, and then I'm looking at my watch thinking it's getting late, and then I get in. Then I need to have a wee, obviously, because I'm old. And then we get here. Oh, I had to put some incense on as well. Ooh. So you're getting that Asia box set then? I bet you're all getting that Asia box, aren't you? I bet you've all pre-ordered it. Yeah, you look like a load of Asia fans. Danny Boy is here. So's Mankey. And I bet they've all pre-ordered the Asia box set too. Oh, it's like I'm just waiting for everyone to warm up. Waiting for it to warm up. Jack says, sorry I've not been around. Been returned to my studies. Got a lot of early mornings. Well, no, you should do your studies. This is just for losers. This is just for people with no life. If you've got a life, go and have your life, man. Hope all is well. No, it's not. Nothing's well. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, I'm back at the dentist to finish off that. Stories of that. Who's more prog? Well, it's got to be Asia. I mean, Erasure. Erasure. Because of Vince Clarke, isn't it? Dan says that Asia's better than the Beatles. I think he might be yanking our chain. So yeah, last Wednesday, I spent 2.5 hours in the dentist chair getting this root canal done. Yeah, I'm still feeling it today, but I think it's just my jaw. It's because I had my mouth open for 2.5 hours, and I've just not really recovered from it. And I've got to go in tomorrow to have it finished. They're going to take out the temporary filling and then put the proper filling in. And I hope it's not another 2.5 hours. I was injected so many times. I was just like, I didn't feel anything. I felt a little bit of a twinge, but just so many needles. Brendan said, I went to an Asia gig, went and was in a bad way, and then fell off the wagon. Was it that period? Because I remember in the late 90s there was a lot of stories circulating of him. I think was he touring with Quango? Who remembers that? When you've been Quangoed, and people were buying him drinks and that, and you just think, oh God, the man's an alcoholic. Leave him alone, But yeah, not a good thing. But yeah, so it's like 2.5 hours in the dentist chair. They drilled it all out and everything, and he takes his time. My dentist, he's thorough. Takes his time. But I was like I said, I was exhausted by the end of it, even though I was laying down for 2.5 hours. And tomorrow morning we carry on, we finish it. But then he's going to look at this one, and it's like, I don't know if I can afford this one, because this one I've got again another 250 quid's coming going. Mr. Barkley, he's going to be helping me out tomorrow. Don't forget Tooth Aid, folks. It's a bit like Live Aid, but it's exactly like Live Aid, where you give money and Africans will still die of starvation. So, was that too soon? It was, wasn't it? I'm being cynical. But yeah, send money. Oh, I don't know what to do about this one, because I said to the missus, I know it needs to be done, but I don't think I can face another 3 weeks in the dentist chair every week, because it's I don't mind. I don't mind, but he takes so long. He takes so long. And you come out of it, it's a bit like, you're out into the daylight again, and you've got to find your way home, and you're disorientated. I'm like, I've got to walk up the hill and down the hill to get home. And I'm like, I'm like that. Oh. But I've been having a bit of a pain. But I don't know if it's the tooth or it's just where I was injected so many times, and my jaw's just been sore all week. Pity me. Remember, everyone who thumbs down the video is because they're enjoying me being in pain, because they're psychopaths. Pinkskis, hello. Well, we're losers, fellow losers. How's it going? I was just explaining about the dentist thing that the adventures in dental technology. Root canals are fun. But I don't think I can take it. It's like the end of Marathon Man. Who remembers Marathon Man? Is it safe? Am I better? No, I'm still going on. Andrew says, just say thanks for the record. Oh yeah, Andrew foolishly bought a record off me. Francis Monkman. I don't know if you're familiar with his work. You might be if you bought the new Yes album. But he bought my copy of Energism because I don't listen to it. I didn't need to keep it. It's good, it's good fun, but it wasn't something I was planning on keeping. He got it for a bargain price as well. But I guess it must have been because of the so-called petrol crisis. But the local Hermes man, I haven't seen him in a fortnight, because I usually see him doing his deliveries. I'm not stalking him, but sometimes I'm doing the washing up and I can see out the window because we overlook the entirety of the road, and so I can see. And I usually see him darting in and out, with his little car. And we have a little chat sometimes, but I haven't seen him. I hope he's all right, But so I had to take it to the Hermes drop shop around the corner. And that was funny because we went to where it was. And they said, "Oh, we don't do that anymore." And then the missus said, "Oh, where is it?" Because we was taking the dog for a walk, and I had the album with me, so we was going to drop. And then we had to go back, and it's around the corner, shorter walk. They've moved it, the Hermes drop shop, so that's good to know. So I'll be dropping off, rather than getting him to collect them, I'll be just dropping them off. It's a lot easier. This is boring. But yeah, Andrew got Energism. I cleaned it for you as well. That was cleaned using my Disco Anti-Stat. So it's a lovely clean record. It wasn't clean when it got here. It was a bit grubby. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. Tompa thinks, how do you do, fellow kids? That is a Steve Buscemi reference, which I had to explain to the missus the other day. Grant says, "Hi Darren, I got diagnosed with high cholesterol. No more red meat or eggs or many other foods I enjoyed before." Well, I don't really eat a lot of red meat. I had a little bit, but again, I wouldn't say I'm a great meat eater. I'm more of a fish and chicken kind of guy. But yeah, I do like an egg. I do like an egg occasionally. But again, there's the egg thing is, where there's a link between eggs and cholesterol. Again, it's like 1 minute it's fine, 1 minute it's not. So but I'm still waiting. I haven't heard anything back. But they said I had high cholesterol before. But I said to the missus, "Oh well, maybe I should give up milk, because I do have milk in my tea and everything." I just think I should just give up everything, just crawl into a ball and die. I think that's what we need to do. Andrew says, "It's going to be very expensive Christmas with all these records." Plays very well. Good. Simon says, "How's it going?" I was just explaining about my jaw and how I've got to go to the dentist again tomorrow. And now I spent 2.5 hours in the chair last Wednesday. Just want it to end, really. But now I've got this one, which has crumbled. And I don't know. He's going to say root canal again. I say, I can't afford root canal. I can't afford another 685 quid on a root canal. I can't afford it. I wonder if he can cap it. I wonder if they can do a crown or something. I wonder if that'll be cheaper. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it's expensive business. Warner says, "Evening. I enjoyed your Peter Gabriel warning video. Or was it an Asia one? I can't remember. Well, it wasn't really a warning about Peter Gabriel. It was like he says there could be an album. Okay, but again, I'm not very hopeful for it because the last two singles he put out weren't particularly much cop. Too long. Again, even he admits it in interviews. But yeah, the Asia box set was hilarious. I just find this stuff amusing. But there will be people that buy it, and that's fine if you enjoy it. But why the hell would you want to listen to 60 quid's worth of Asia? And again, some people. When I say some people, I mean one person, Hans Magnus Anderson, or whatever his name is. Hi, Hans, or is it Magnus? Magnus Hans Anderson? I don't know. Was saying, well, I haven't said what it's sourced from. Well, it says bootleg, so I'd imagine that it's that. And you can't polish a turd, so I think even if it was recorded in the highest fidelity, it's still going to sound like a fucking Asia album. Tom Pink says, I missed you cleaning up Bill Collins' vinyl video and your take on Take Me Home. Hilarious. Well, I think it got lost in the purge. And also, what else happened? And then, of course, there was all the copyright claim nonsense. I don't know. It might be on the Drobo. Let me have a look. Phil Collins. This is just going to throw up a load of nonsense. What have we got? Oh no. That ain't good. This Mac. Yeah, I guess that video was lost forever. But hey, you saw it, you experienced it. Remember, none of this is permanent. There's a chance that one day you could wake up and it could be gone. So, don't get too precious about it. I'm not. I'm certainly not precious about any of this. Andrew says, I wonder if there'll be a super deluxe version of the Gabriel. What, you mean of his album? He doesn't tend to do that because he's not an arse. But you never know. He might have fallen foul of the super deluxe bullshit. I mean, again, I guess a lot of record companies push for that. Who knows? Maybe it will just be download only. Maybe he'll just do a stream. He did that with the Flotsam and Jetsam collection, which is a shame because it would have been nice to have that in a physical product. But again, I think Gabriel's not that. He's not that worried. He hasn't got a divorce to pay for, so he's not too worried about these things. He does what he does. He's got real world studios and real world records and whatnot. In his life and everything. So he's more sensible about these things. Pink says not only Asia but live Asia, not even studio Asia. Well, I think they did didn't they do a box set of their later day albums? That was a treat, wasn't it? Joe DiMaggio's Glove. Yeah, all right. Babe Ruth's Jockstrap. Daniel says Peter Gabriel is the George R. Martin of rock. Waits decades before the next instalments. Again, Gabriel's his own thing. I think he knows that music isn't that important these days. There are other things to be doing. He's sensible. He sees what's going on. If you're an artist or a musician, again, artist's different because there are artists that do different things, installations and whatnot. There's different mediums that you can work in. Whereas Gabriel knows. He knows what the business is like. And again, if he tours, will he be able to fill a stadium? Will he have the influence that he used to have? That's the thing. It's interesting. I'm quite interested to see how he's going to approach it. Because I think if he's sensible, he'll just do the bare minimum and not worry about touring it. And if he does do anything, it'll be maybe one or two smaller venues. That'd be nice. That's just me dreaming a dream, though, isn't it? Really, but it's been, like I said, nearly 20 years since the previous album. Trying to think the last time he did a tour. He did that one with Sting, didn't he? I'm not sure when that was. When was the last time Gabriel toured? Let me have a look. I think it was Peter Gabriel Sting tour. When was that? 2016. Oh, okay. But then, notice he did tour with Sting. He didn't do it on his own. So, I think that's quite telling that he didn't actually, do a solo tour. Interesting. Well, I find it interesting. Brendan asks, did the Asia box set cover the years Wetton wasn't actually in the band? John Payne still has his own version. Well, I read out the dates. I don't know whether or not Wetton was with them. Grant says, if Phil can't finish the tour, could Ray Wilson stand in? I don't think that's an issue. I don't think that's possible because people have bought their ticket on the expectation that Phil will be sitting in his chair. Maybe if Ray sits in the chair and puts the tartan blanket over his legs and wears the old man mask, then it could be a thing. But no, I don't think that's a good idea for them because trading standards might get involved. Like that time when they used the image of Phil Collins and Peter Gabriel on posters during the Ray Wilson tour years in the UK. And even I stopped. I went to the missus. We was driving again. I was working. My God, it shows you how long ago it was. But and I remember collecting me from work on a Sunday or whatnot. We was driving through London, and I remember seeing all these posters up for the tour. And I'm thinking, I said to her, look, they've got Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins. And I can never find a bloody picture of this tour poster. But I shit you not, they had like a collage. Montage is more film, so call it collage, Darren. A collage of images from like Genesis history, and Phil Collins and Peter Gabriel were there. And I said, they're going to get into trouble for that. And they did. They got fined by trading standards because people complained about it. Maybe they'll do that again. Brendan says, I don't think Gabs will tour again. I think he'll do a residency like Kate Bush did. Yeah, I think that's probably the more sensible approach. Unless, I don't know, him and Sting, do a double header again. I think he knows that the interest in old legacy artists is, unless you're the Rolling Stones or, a band, and the top tier. He's not top tier legacy, is he? Genesis can pull that off because they've got that and Phil Collins. They're two separate entities, come together. So Phil Collins fans often go to a Genesis thing. It's kind of, I wouldn't say mutually exclusive, but I can imagine that Genesis and Phil Collins fans, there's a strong overlap, So, whereas Gabriel has kind of got that thing of, people forget that he's Peter Gabriel, It's like, so yeah, I think he's probably going to play a bit more. If he does release now, play a bit more, a bit more subtlety with it. I don't think you're going to see a big tour. But who knows? Who knows? Again, the thing about doing digital releases is he could release an album tomorrow or at the end of the week or whatnot, and not necessarily worry about physical media. And I wouldn't be surprised if he just did that, and then went, well, if you want it on physical, you can wait 6 months or something just to see, what's going on. Joe says, is Carl Palmer still in Asia? I think he's in ELP Legacy, whatever it's called. Daniel says, I can understand Flotsam Jetsam being released as streaming only, given his songs previously on physical format and not on streaming, but it would have been nice to have a physical version of Flotsam Jetsam. Well, again, not all that stuff was. Well, was it all? I think there were a couple of things that weren't available before, and some of the stuff was really hard to find. I think. I don't know. I can't remember. I think one thing was on a flexi disc, which was hard to find if you don't go on eBay. But they should have had Charlie Drake's "You Never Know" on there, or at least Peter Gabriel's demo of Charlie Drake's "You'll Never Know," which is probably the finest thing that the prog rock elite has ever produced. You never know, do 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 do. You never know, ba 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 ba. I love me some Charlie Drake. Vorna says Gabriel got quids from Meridian when they recorded Real World. The man's smart. Yeah, that money you're paying for their insurance goes straight into Gabriel's pockets. Oh no, we've blown our budget on recording at Real World. That's my ambition, is to record at Real World. I have very few ambitions in this life, but I'd love to just record at Real World and just end up not recording anything. Just sitting there going, I'm at Real World. And just going spinning around in the chair for like 3 hours going, lower the surround sound speakers again. I want to see that again. And you're spending like hundreds and hundreds of pounds. Thousands of pounds even. That'd be funny, wouldn't it? Oh. I had dry eyes the last couple of days. Oh dear. Now they start watering. Typical. Now I've got bloodshot eyes. Oh no. Where did that come from? Oh God, I look appalling. I need to put my glasses on. So, yeah. Pink says Collins did the same with his B-sides collection a few years back. Digital only. Simon says, hard to believe it's been close to 20 years since the last proper Peter Gabriel release. I know, it's just, I remember it. I remember that. I remember. Daniel says, ironic since Marillion have been slagging off Genesis really recently. Well, again, I think that was a very unfortunate pot shot that Mark Kelly did. I thought it was wholly unprofessional, and I didn't like the sneeriness of it, even though, I'm only joking. No, you're not. You're trying to score a point because you want your gullible fans to give you money. You're using it as an example of, look, if you don't give us money, we could end up like Genesis, except Genesis cover their own costs, or at least have found an insurer that will cover their costs. Because my brain still doesn't believe that you cannot get insurance, because a certain other band, that band, the featured artist, recently toured America, and I think they're touring Japan as well later in the year. And are you telling me that the Americans and all these venues, right, book these dates without any insurance policy in place? I don't believe it. And if they put the money up themselves, then that makes them obviously the more ethical and better organisation. I find it wholly unethical and very difficult to understand. But there you go. That's just me. And I'm just about done with Marillion now. Because I think, the goodwill of fans can only extend so far before it becomes an exploitative relationship. And I think they have, some people reckon that they've gone through, and again, I don't monitor every bloody crowdfund thing that they do, but some people say, no, they've been like tapping their fans for ages. And I know they did a tour thing and whatnot. And again, if you can't afford to tour somewhere, then really, is it right to put that burden onto fans? I don't know. I think again, it takes the idea of goodwill and kind of distorts it into a very exploitative relationship. And then there'll be people say, oh yeah, but they don't have to pay. But that's the thing with fandom, is if you're a fan, you do feel obliged. You do feel obliged to help because you're a fan and you want to see your band do well. But like I said, it becomes an exploitative thing. Don't forget Toothaid. Toothaid, there is a link in the description where you can give me your money so I can give it to a dentist. don't want to go tomorrow. I'm not scared of it. I just don't want to do it again. It gets the needle and it's like, oh, we do this again. And I'm just and for the rest of the week, I'm exhausted. Exhausted I am. Joe says, who's got COVID in the Genesis entourage? A secret to be revealed. If it's Phil, it's the end of the tour. Well, again, it could be anyone. It could be a member of the crew. I mean, it could be, what's his name? Oh, crikey. No, I've had a brain fart. Who's their manager? Is it Tony Smith? It could be him. It could be the management. Somebody who's close to them. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a member of the band. It could be someone close to the band. It could be a tech. It could be one of their techs or whatever who works close with them. It could be. I mean, someone was spreading a rumor that Phil Collins was making a mistake and Tony Banks lost his shit and called the tour off. But I think that's just a little bit of wishful thinking on their part. I think everyone's very forgiving of Mr. Collins. But hey, all will be revealed, I'd imagine, one day, For Simon says, when was I introduced to Marillion? What was it? Oh God, I suppose it would be that bloody single Kaylee, wouldn't it? Again, dim, distant memory. I remember some friends liking them because I think they were into Maiden or whatever, and I think Marillion appeared in magazines like Kerrang and Metal Hammer quite a bit. I don't know why, and I think there was a kind of a bit of an overlap there, but I think when they fully, so I knew they get like the album covers, but I didn't know the music. So then that bloody Misplaced Childhood album was charting. And I was like, I resisted them because I saw them as a poor man's Genesis. I was a big Genesis fan. I was like, Genesis, poor man's Genesis, which I still believe. Not now, obviously, but back then there was, if you listen to, a lot of their stuff, it's those shoes that they're stepping into. So I resisted them, and then I was working at Woolworths, and they had an offer on all their CDs were like half price or whatnot. And I'm a sucker for a bargain. I'm a sucker for a bargain. And I had my Woolworths discount card, and they only had it was up to Clutching at Straws, I think it was, and live and Reel to Reel, the live album. So it was at 6 CDs, and I think it cost me about something like 30 quid, less than that. It may have been something like crazy, like 25 quid, because I had my discount card as well. And so I bought a lot, and I digested it, and I thought, yeah, it's all right. And then The Thieving Magpie, La Gazzaladra, came out, and then Fish announced he was leaving. I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because I'm just getting into them. I mean, they're all right, they're all right. I quite enjoyed the Hogarth era, because that was interesting, because that was like following a new band and and seeing what they were heading into. So that was quite exciting to see their releases coming out. And up until Afraid of Sunlight, it's like, yeah, it was really good. And then after that, it gets patchy. And I've said this before, they have patchy albums. 1 or 2 songs that I like, but albums I just find, I don't really think, I'm going to put that on. And it wasn't till Marbles I thought, wow, Marbles I think is an incredibly strong record. And then they've kind of been a bit patchy since then, really, but the thing is they're a great live band. They're really good live, and they do consistently good shows. A lot of back catalogue stuff to fall back on. But again, I've always thought they needed a rest. They needed like a good, 5 years of not seeing each other, of just like not doing anything, and then come back and do a record. But because they do this tour, convention, album cycle, they're always being Marillion. But they don't have enough money to cover insurance. I think they, artistically they do need a break from each other, I think, and maybe to come back, because I think they've got the potential of making a really good album, another really good album. but because of this cycle that they're on, this merry-go-round, that they're always just going to deliver this. I mean, I thought that last album was absolutely, ugh, just didn't like it. But then, you know, I didn't like it. But I didn't like quite a few of their previous ones. But Somewhere Else was mediocre. That double one that they split, I didn't like that one much. It all became a bit samey. So, you know, there's some moments where, you know, they do some interesting things, but in terms of actual strong albums, I think no. Dan says, not going to lie, not a good business model to ask fans to pay for their concert in a barn in Shenley. Oh. Brendan says, surprised Million can afford Real World Studios considering their insurance dosh begging. Well, this is the thing. I forgot that. I forgot that they did actually mention that they'd been to Real World, but I mean, Real World I don't think it's as expensive as it used to be. They do these residential packages where you can stay there for a week, and it's like being at a hotel, but you do recording and stuff. But you know, this is the thing. If your business is failing, then you've either got to scale down your business, you know, or make something that people want to buy. You know, it's a. And this is what I mean about it, crowdfunding being an exploitative thing. You know, it's, you know, even with the albums, first time I did it, it was like, oh yeah, this is exciting. They're breaking free of the corporate music biz. You know, yeah, we're going to stick it to the man. So we thought we was doing something revolutionary. And as it's gone on, you just go, what, we're doing this again? But surely you should have made money from the last one, seeing as you get all the money now because you broke free of the music biz. We helped you break free, so surely you don't need us for. Oh, you still need us, okay then. And you know, and you get the feeling that either they really like their own money a lot, and they do not want to commit their own money to their own projects, or you know, or there's something else afoot. You know, I don't know, or they really are. You know, the arseholes hanging out their trousers. You know, like I said, when I do my little thing, I go, oh, I've got some CDs, you know, pre-order. That's because I can't afford to get them made first off. So the first few, first few purchases, usually about, I'm trying to think how much it usually costs. If I've got 10 CDs, that's usually about 70, 80 quid. So yeah, so if I sell about 5 CDs, I've covered my costs, and everything else after that is gravy. That's just rough figures, you know. You can see why I do it, you know. But I'm not Marillion. They're Marillion. I'm no one in a corner. This is Real World Studios. This is the Real World Studios. It's the real world, man. Brennan says they should be recording their respective garages if they're that hard pushed. Well, they've got their own studio. Like I said, they've got their own label. They've got everything under their own control. So, like I said, I don't understand why they need to do this all the time, unless they really like their own money, or they're broke. They're stony broke. And if they're stony broke, then maybe they should be doing other things, or they should be making it a business that makes them money. I know they launched a online streaming platform, which you think, well, that's about 20 years too late. And I can't imagine anyone's paying to watch, you know, umpteenth, you know, renditions of Garden Party or Kaylee, for that matter, or Easter. There we do a modern one, so that the modern fans aren't left out. But you know, I thought that was really odd. They did this Marillion TV thing, you know, where you can subscribe and watch concerts, and you think, well, you'd probably make more money putting it on YouTube, maybe, you know, and letting the adverts run, you know, maybe. I don't know. Maybe the fans just love the band that much. I don't know. Grant says, did you think the UK reacted slow to respond to the COVID pandemic? Oh, that. Yes and no. People have got really short memories. But I don't want to defend Boris Johnson, and I don't want to defend the Tories. My big issue I have with the whole handling was the care homes. That was fucked up Old people should not have been sent back to care homes with COVID. You're basically nuking care homes from a great height. That was an irresponsible thing. And I think they've got to figure out who came up with that strategy. Some say it came from the NHS themselves. There's a bit murky. It's a bit murky about that. So that's the thing I'm more railing against. However, there always comes a level of personal responsibility, right? I'm in the unique position that it didn't affect me because my life carried on. I didn't have a job. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to go on the tube. I don't have to expose myself to people. So when this all started, I thought, it doesn't affect me. Luckily, the missus was working from home at the time anyway, so it didn't affect us. We're here, we're self-contained. The only problem is the kids going to school, but hey, we monitor that situation and deal with that as it comes when it comes. But, the kids went into lockdown, blah, 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 blah. You've got to remember the conflicting evidence. And again, people have short memories. At the very beginning of this, the Chinese said it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't get, you can't train, it's not communicable. It's fine. It's just a contained thing. It's fine. This was then backed up by the WHO, not that WHO, the other WHO said it's fine, everyone. It's fine. And then it stopped being fine. And then the Chinese stopped telling the WHO what was going on. And the WHO goes, we don't know. And then all eyes turned to Italy because that's when we could finally get our data from. That's where all the data came from, was what was happening in Italy, where it was a terrible, terrible thing that happened there. Right? And all our people looked at the stats that were coming out of Italy and made their decisions based around that. Now, they go, the initial strategy was herd immunity. Yeah, because they thought initially that it was going to be fine and that COVID wasn't as deadly as they thought it, And they could only find out how deadly, because for some people it is and some people it isn't. The stats are very small. It's a very, again, you've got to be careful how you bloody phrase it. You don't want to end up with pneumonia. You don't want to end up with COVID. I put COVID and pneumonia in the same category, okay? And again, pneumonia, some people can walk around with pneumonia and be fine with it, and other people can end up in hospital and you can die of it. I'm one of those people, said it before, when I was a teenager, I got pneumonia, it hit me fucking quickly, and I was in hospital, and if I hadn't been in hospital, like in a few hours later, I'd have been dead. That's what they told my mum. That you got him in this happened over Christmas as well. So Boxing Day, I'm on death's door. The day after Boxing Day, they can get me in, because there's no doctors around. The doctor comes out and goes, you got to get this boy to hospital, right? Because they just think I've got the flu or whatnot. So this is how you can descend into death really quickly. So I don't view this as something that isn't real. I view it as something that's very real. But how can experts make a decision if the data is skewed? If China and the WHO, not that WHO, the other WHO, don't give us the correct information? People forget that. And they want to blame this government for the mistakes made by the WHO and the Chinese government. They're the people that need to be held accountable. And the other problem is we have Boris Johnson as a Prime Minister. Yeah, we know he's a clown. We know. Look, don't make me defend him. But Boris is a libertarian. He expects everyone to be adult. He expects everyone to be in control of their own lives because he sees us as free thinking people. Right? He never wanted an authoritarian leadership. He wants to be the man, the bumbling clown of the people. That's what he wants. He wants to be loved. He wants to be funny Boris, right? He didn't want to be an authoritarian dictator. That's what everybody wanted. Everybody wanted a dictator to tell us when to, go for a walk. Your scheduled exercise time is now, Mr. Locke. Bollocks. I took my dog out the same time as I always did. I broke the fucking rules, whatever rules they were, because it was stupid. So I go out early in the morning and late of the night when no one saw me. Again, and if I see people, I cross the road. I do that normally because I don't like people. Like I said, it doesn't affect me. Right? So yeah, there were mistakes. We should have probably locked down a fortnight sooner. But Boris, in his failings, trusted the public. And the one thing you should never do is try and trust the public. Look what happened with the toilet rolls. Look what's happened recently with petrol, right? Because people are stupid, right? And the media is still trying to stoke up a fake, oh, there'll be no Christmas this year. You know? Because it sells newspapers, you know. People being scared, you know, is news engagement. So yeah, there are failings. There are failings, but the biggest failure is that we need to look at how contracts are handed out, because you had the track and trace and all that debacle, and Matt Hancock's landlord suddenly being, you know, a major PPE distributor. What we need is a independent third party board that looks at every contract that goes out, and it's never going to happen because both the left and the right love to give jobs to their friends. That's politics. Thanks for playing, you know. But I don't think any government could have got it right. It would have always been, never been sooner. We should have locked down in January. As soon as these stories, you know, and I mean, we should have locked everything down. Planes fall out of the sky, everything. You know, if I'd have run the country, we'd have been locked down as soon as the Wuhan story broke. And I would have turned us into an island state, you know, and we would have been ravaging for food and whatnot. But I'm not running the country because they have all these other things to consider, you know. So pray that I'm not running the country. But there you go. There you go. But what are you going to replace it with? Are you going to replace it with Keir Starmer, you know, Captain Hindsight, you know, a man who I don't think could make a decision. Again, he's like Corbyn in this. We have a problem with the left is they want to please everyone. And the problem about pleasing everyone is you end up pleasing nobody. And they would have played it exactly the same way. How so? Because guess who would have been advising them? Chris Whitty and Valence and, you know, and Claude Van Damme would have been. They'd have got exactly the same advice. Because it's, again, the civil servants who fucking pull the strings. Boris is merely a puppet of the civil service. You know? He goes to them and says, what should I do? And he goes, well, you should do this. And don't be surprised if we have what they call it, a fire break lockdown in, where are we now? Mid to late November? Don't be surprised. But who knows? Maybe the vaccination is going to work, you know. So yeah, let's just moan. Hey, let's have a massive public inquiry where we can spend loads of money figuring out why the Chinese are a bunch of scumbags, because that's where the eyes should be pointing at. Let's look at China. You know, that's the real fucking issue here. But oh, Darren, you're racist for blaming China. Yeah, all right. No, I'm not blaming the Chinese people. I'm blaming the Chinese government and what's going on with Wuhan. And I think you'll also find that they're being funded by America. You chase the money back to Fauci in America because they wanted to do research into SARS-CoV vaccines. And to do this, they needed more samples of COVID. And the thing with nature, you've all seen Jurassic Park, haven't you? They see all these people need to go and watch Jurassic Park because Jeff Goldblum, he says it, nature finds a way. And so if there's something nasty out there and we start poking it with a big stick, you know it's going to bite us on the arse. I just talked so long then. Brendan says, I got into Marillion because I was desperate for a band that sounded like early Genesis. Andrew says, views on Sex Pistols. I love the Sex Pistols. The only punk band there is. I love me some Pistols. Nevermind the Bollocks is a classic album, and that's it. They had one album. We're not going to count, you know, the other things that don't count. They had one album, and that's it. How many bands do you know bring out one album? The cover's iconic, the contents are iconic, and then that's it. It's done. But yeah, no, there's a box set, but not really. Brendan says, I remember a few years back, Hogarth had a tour solo to pay a large tax bill. Was that it? Oh, I didn't know that. Again, I don't pay much attention. Thomas says, hi Dan, just tune in. Any idea who the member of Genesis with COVID is? Nope. Thomas says, I think you're spot on regarding the COVID response. Thank you. Jobs for the boys on the left and the right. Well, it is. That's what politics is. Politics is about influence. That's why people go into politics, to have influence. Back in the old days, politicians used to be old industrialists, businessmen who'd got bored with doing the 9 to 5 and thought, you know what, I'm going to sit down in a very exclusive boys' club and steer the country, and maybe I can make it a bit better for everyone, and I might get a drink out of it. Not anything big. They'd already made their money, but they went there to try and change things for the better, in their eyes. And now we have a load of fucking opportunistic, politicos. They're real career politicos. They're not in it for us. They're in it for them. More so. When you think about our political system, how long it's been running, and in fact, we've only all just had the vote for about 120 years. Before that, even men didn't have the vote unless you had owned land, and they've managed to fuck that up in such political malaise. What's the point? Even I'm bored with it. Oh, let's have an inquiry into it. Nothing's going to happen. And if you do get rid of Boris Johnson, you're just going to have another idiot. What, you're going to have Keir Starmer? Oh, fuck me. The Labour Party can't even describe what a woman is. You have people on the right defending lesbian feminists. That's how screwed up our politics is now, because the left has completely gone swiveled-eyed loon. I'm a lefty, but it bears no relation to the left wing that I know. And I used to be very left when I was young, but now I'm just like, God, you've lost all sensibility. Today I read a piece in the Times. It's not all Daily Mail. Sometimes it's the Times and the Guardian. I get a mix of news. But was it the UCU, which is the Universities Union, up in Edinburgh? Whilst defending trans rights, they also said it was fine to not only self-identify as trans, but also self-identify along racial and disability lines. So, with their rules, you can put on your dress, black up, and get in your wheelchair and say, I'm a black, one-legged, lesbian, trans man thing. And everything will be fine, according to them. And you go, that's how fucking stupid the left has gone to justify one stupid part of an ideology, that they've got to do all this other stuff to build their case. And you go, you're mad. You've completely lost the plot. You've lost the plot. And that's why we're fucked. And so is the Green Party. Green Party's fucked too. And the Liberal Dems, well, all you've got to do is look at Nick Clegg. That's all you've got to look at, because that's what it was all about. He's now defending one of the most odious companies on the planet, Facebook, who's buried a recent paper detailing how Instagram and Facebook can psychologically damage our young people, because it is designed to damage our young people. And Clegg's there with I'm sure he's obviously on millions, defending Zuckerberg and his drones. And you just go, he's the guy that sold out the students. None of them are worth the light. Don't you get it? None of them are worth the light. So there's no point in getting upset about it. Ignore it. Just shrug and go, oh, that's great. The thing about Boris Johnson is, at least you know what you're getting with Boris Johnson. He's Boris Johnson. He can't act. He can't do anything else. So he's the safer bet. Keir Starmer, you don't know what you're getting with Keir Starmer. And I vote Labour. You don't know what he stands for. But you know what Boris stands for. Boris stands for Boris. That's what people vote. And they vote this government in. Yeah, because they look at the possible opposition. They look at the alternative and they go, oh my fucking God. Because that's what the Labour Party's done to itself. It's become so self-obsessed with, with all these, oh God, cults of personality, ideologies, and has just ripped itself into shreds. It's crazy. It's crazy. They appeal to the smallest minority, and those people ain't even going to vote for them. That's the funny thing. They do this thinking that they're going to get the young vote. But these people, the youngsters, don't vote. When it's voting day, they're at the pub or playing on the PlayStation. Whereas the old farts, me, I go take the dog out and we go to the polling station. You see where they've got it all wrong. But hey, don't listen to me. Politics is showbiz for ugly people. And that's all you've got to remember. It's not worth us worrying about, because whether it's the left or the right, we're all fucked. Sorry, I went off on one there because I am so fucked off with a lot of them. Zeb says, have you heard the extremely depressive 9 album by the Caretakers? No. Daniel says, having a libertarian prime minister was always going to be an issue with the outbreak from the onset. Exactly, because he trusts people. And you can't trust people. But the funny thing is, it's the same people to go, oh, he's a libertarian. Oh, if he'd have said straight off, we're going into immediate lockdown, he'd have said, he's a fascist, telling us what to do. And you just know this is how bonkers it all is. This is how bonkers it all is. It's all bonkers, right? But the thing we do need to look at is what happened with the care homes. And also, I think, the actual response to COVID. I think with the Nightingale Hospital idea was great, but they didn't use them, because what they should have done is everyone with COVID should have gone to isolation wards to keep them away from the general hospital population. And there should have been a ring still around those and care homes. And anyone with COVID should have basically been isolated, because at that point we didn't know what this thing was. It's a bit like a tropical, imagine there's a weird tropical, like Ebola. Imagine Ebola, suddenly there's an Ebola outbreak. Are they going to take people with Ebola into general hospitals and just put him on the ward with blood coming out of his ears and his eyes? No, they're not. They're going to put him in a high security, ward where he can, where they can be studied, and, people in, hazmat suits will treat them. And that's what we needed to do with this thing, because we didn't know what we were dealing with. Unless they did. But that's when you go with the conspiracy theory route. But I believe we didn't know what we were dealing with, and we should have taken a much more hardline approach with the actual initial outbreak, and put these people into separate hospital buildings and that. But we didn't. And a lot of people, the majority of people who died, caught COVID in hospital, because they were there for other things and they weren't very well, and that's what killed them. But they can't talk about that, because if they talk about that, then we start talking about the failure of the NHS, because the NHS was completely not fit to deal with that, because, like I said, you needed to isolate those with the virus. I don't run the country, but I know how to run things, because it's just, you use fucking logic, but they can't. Because they're trying to keep everybody happy. And that's that. Thomas says, it came from a lab in China. Well, it looks that way. Jarrah says, British civil servants always remember me as Sir Humphrey from Westminster. Best political TV series ever made. It is, and if you watch it now, it comes across more like a documentary than a comedy series. You sit there and go, it's better than the thick of it, because it's, it shows you that who was pulling the strings. And that's the same with the EU. It's all the assistants that tell the MEPs what to do and how it's steered, and that's why politics doesn't work. Thomas says gain of function tests were being conducted in the Wuhan labs. Yeah. Thomas says, my Tory MP literally could not give a shit about me or anyone else in their constituency. Yeah. But you'll get that with the Labour ones as well. So they'll only shake hands when they know there's a vote involved. Mankey says, yeah, they were ordered by France as a front for transatlantic friends. Thomas says, and when it comes to Keir Starmer, OMFG, no. Exactly. Dan says, Boris Johnson will be the death of himself. He brought Priti Patel back into government despite being fined for breaking ministerial code. She's accused again, but virtually dismissed. I quite like her because she's tough. We need someone like that. We need a hard head. And again, I think a lot of people don't like it because she's a woman of colour. And I think you're all racists and sexists, and that's why you don't like her. But she has said that the Met Police is rotten from top to bottom, and she wants it thoroughly investigated. And you know what? She's bloody right. You see, even a stop clock is right twice a day. So she's right on that, isn't she? There is so much wrong, and a lot of it's institutionalised, you know. But there's no way of fixing it without completely destroying everything. And that's what Dominic Cummings was trying to do. But he had no plan with what to replace the things he was trying to destroy. Payne said, nearly missed it. Oh, still here, mate, still here. Zeb says, Boris Johnson's a fan of the Clash. There we go. And that's not a good thing. Everyone knows the Pistols beat the Clash every time. Thomas says, we're going to hell in a handcart. No, we won't. It's just more of the same. It's just more of the same. That's what's going to happen. More of the same until we die. But there won't be any improvement. This is the thing. It's more of the same because that's all any politico can deliver. Because making our lives better would mean fundamentally changing everything. Take working from home. Working from home can be done. It doesn't harm anyone. It doesn't harm businesses. In fact, it's turned out to be more productive, right? We live in the 21st century. When I was a kid, we talked about this, about home computers will enable people to work from home. We will aim for a 3-day week or a 4-day week or whatnot because everyone will be free of the 9 to 5 and they'll work from home and there'll be more leisure time and there'll be more money and everyone will have a great life. And look where we are, right? Look where we are. And so working from home is a good thing. Mrs. does it. She works from home. There we go. Been doing it for a long time. Where was I? But yeah, that's it. But then it's like, everyone has got to go back to work. Why is that? Because the other infrastructures around those businesses, around London and all that, are dying. What do you mean? Well, the landlords want their money for a start and all these office blocks. But hey, we could just turn those office blocks into cheap housing, couldn't we? Yeah, but will it pull in as much money as having a business in there? Oh, but what about the sandwich shop? What about the sandwich shop? What about it? What, so they can feed you an overpriced sandwich full of God knows what, and a coffee that's got, 7 sugars in it, because you've got to ask for some syrupy latte crap. When really, you should just have a flask and a sandwich you bought from home, really, wouldn't you? You know. But that's the infrastructure you've got to support. And then you get fat. You're obese. You can't figure out why, because you're eating stuff you shouldn't be eating, because you've got reliant on this fucking coffee shop or Starbucks or whatnot. And you're eating their food thinking it's okay, but it isn't because it's packed full of God knows what. And then you have to go to the fucking gym and run it off because you don't walk when you're outside the office. You get in your car, don't you? And that costs you. You got to buy petrol and insurance and road tax. And just imagine if you walked to the office, you wouldn't need the gym and you wouldn't need your car, You see, everything is teetering on a fucking infrastructure that shouldn't exist in the first place. I'm not anti-capitalist. I think capitalist is a necessary evil. But there is so much of this shit, so much unnecessary shit in this world. We don't need it. We don't need it. We need a simpler, easier life. We need a life that we can all enjoy. And for us to have that, it needs radical change. And no government, left, right, centre, blue, red, green, with purple spots, is ever going to deliver it. Because it means breaking the current system. And do you know why? Because over 2/3 of politicians are landlords. Dun, dun, dun. Just putting it out there. So it's best just to ignore it. Your life is never going to get any better. It's not going to get any worse. It's just going to be the same, all right? The media are going to tell you it's worse because they want you scared, so you read more media because you've got to read the media to find out how bad your fucking life is. Ignore politics. Ignore the news. Enjoy your life. Get a hobby. Maybe drink. Maybe recreational drugs might find your way out, Sex, drugs, and rock and fucking roll. Dump social media. Read. Sit under a tree. Read a book. But ignore everything. Ignore society, because one day it will send you mad. That's why you come here. That's why you come here. I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. Go and watch Network. It's a very important film, and it's still as prescient today as it was back in 1977, I thought, 78, whenever it was. My God. Sorry, I'm just... got me going off all mine now. Daniel says, my opinion on LGBT is mostly a reason I consider myself a centrist. Other than that, I'd be somewhat around centre-left. Yeah, but you see, those people who are left are now right, and the right are now left. There's a point where you push your ideology so far that you become a fascist. And what's going with the whole trans debate is basic fascism. It's a cult where you close people down. You deny them the debate because, again, I don't care how you live. Live as a woman. Do what you want. If you've got male genitalia, calling it a female penis ain't going to cut it, son, if you're dangling it in front of my daughter when she's getting changed in the swimming baths. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to find you and I'm going to stamp on your neck because you're a pervert. It's a pervert's charter. It's a fascist charter. Now what they say is well, they shouldn't be looking. No, you shouldn't be exposing yourself to women and children. Simple as that. Because the only people that want to do that are perverts. Because your average trans person who's pre-surgery are discreet. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to make a fuss. They want to get through their lives, and good luck to them. This is it. It's a fucking awful surgery. It's a fucking awful thing to undergo, right? And I nearly said it takes a lot of balls. You know, it does. And I'm not being funny, you know. And I remember watching A Change of Sex, a documentary from the 80s, right? And I felt so sorry for that woman who went through all that. And it was a terrible thing, right? And I see myself as an ally for those people. But these loons, they're fucking loons. You know, they're fucking loons, and they're only happy when they're destroying good people, you know, and they want to destroy women. It's entitled white straight men in dresses trying to destroy women. We have a man in a dress with his genitalia living with a woman, and they call themselves lesbians. You go, no, you're a transvestite, a straight male white transvestite with a female partner who is also heterosexual. But the language has to be bent out of shape for them to accommodate this weird ideology that just doesn't work. Do you see? Do you understand? And that's it. It's really fucking simple. And now you can self-identify as another race or even disabled. Do you know how fucking offensive that is to me? My son, you don't know what we had to do to get him registered as, you know, as autistic. He had all sorts of tests and things and whatnot. And, you know, there are real people out there with disabilities that are not getting the help that they want. But someone can just pretend to be disabled and they'll get a pat on the head and get access to those services now. Is that what you're telling me? That's insanity. That's insanity. And wait till, you know, black people fucking wake up and find that this is now going to be the blackface is now acceptable. Jesus fucking Christ. How fucking deluded. And this is all to prop up the weird trans ideology, which isn't about trans at all. It's about transvestite men pushing themselves into women's spaces. We're not talking about, you know, trans women who've had the operation. We're not talking about that. We're talking about men with fucking male genitalia forcing themselves into women's spaces. That's what we're talking about. God damn it. And you should all get angry about it. You should, if you've got a mother, a daughter, a sister, an aunt, you should all be angry because they're coming for them. They're coming for them. Women, you know, was it again 120 years? It wasn't that long when they were throwing themselves under horses, when the suffragettes were out there fighting for their rights. And for what? For some entitled white man in a dress to fucking point his finger in their face and insult them and threaten them because they're just standing up for the rights they fought for. Fuck me, it makes me angry. It really does. There's not a lot in this world that makes me angry, but that does, because I can see what it's doing to good women. And they've duped everyone. They're duping everyone. Because if you question it, oh, you're a transphobe. I'm not. Couldn't give a fuck. You do live as you like. Couldn't give a fuck. Carry on. That's the thing. I just question certain aspects of it, like forcing children on a path to surgery. Do you know how this surgery can destroy you mentally and physically? No, you should wait until you're at least in your mid-20s when you've lived a bit. And, it's the reason we don't give kids tattoos. Let them drive or drink or do hard drugs because they're kids and kids should have their lives. And if they want to wear a dress and present as female, fine. But don't fill them full of drugs. Don't cut off their genitalia. Not until they're adults. Jesus Christ. Because I care about kids, right? I care about women. I care about people. And that's why I get angry about this. Because I see what's going on and it's fucking weird. I can't believe we got to this point. As a civilized society, I can't believe we got to this point. Because inclusivity means excluding certain people. There's no such thing as true inclusivity. It can't be. It can never happen. Because there will always be categories of people. And there'll always be categories of people who we need to protect, who are vulnerable, like the disabled, like people dealing with racism, like women who are dealing with fucking male violence and rape threats and whatnot. And those are protected people. God damn it. Ugh. You see, I wasn't involved in this, but then, like I said, my daughter went to big school and she came back and she told me what her friends were talking about and what they were doing, and she was as puzzled as I was. And we talk about this. We've got a good relationship. We talk about it. And she couldn't understand over one summer, friends that she's known as suddenly, I'm bisexual, I'm this, I'm that. I identify as a boy now, and they have to get the right pronouns, or there's a fight, or they're waggling their you're a transphobe, And the teachers encourage it because they're shit scared of going, God, this is a bit weird. Because if they say anything, God, they could lose their jobs because this is how fucking weird it's all got. Rather than everyone being sensible. There are no adults in the room anymore. All the adults have run away because they're scared of being labelled something. And that's what cults do. Look at how Scientologists deal with their suppressive people. They isolate them. They shut them down. They take away their ability to talk. They damage their character. Say they've got problems with drugs, with sex, whatever. You go back, just go look at how the Scientologists do it. It's the same way as this is. It's a fucking cult, And it's not until everyone fucking wakes up and realises what's going on that we'll actually see this thing put to bed. It's happening. It's happening. Dave Chappelle did a good job the other week highlighting how fucking ridiculous all this is. And there you go. Ugh. Oh, someone doesn't like Boris. That's a shame. Rob says, meanwhile, in Wales, we live under stricter rules made by people who think they are PM of a separate country. Yeah, it was the same in Scotland. Don't worry, you'll be independent one day. Dan says, quote by Plato comes to mind, those who are too smart to engage in politics are punished by being governed by those who are dumber. Well, again, I think it's complicated. I personally believe we need a people's parliament. We can do it now. We have the technology. We have the ability to choose a random sample of the population to sit for, I don't know, a fortnight. How long's jury service? Treat it like jury service. And they go into Parliament and they go, right, we're voting on this. What do you think? Yay or nay? Nay. Opposing people, present it like it's a court case. Well, we're going to legalise, jelly beans. I know jelly beans are already legal, but and they could argue the case and they just say, right, well, I'm for it, I'm against it, and we have a people's parliament. And I tell you, laws would be changed a lot quicker, legislation would get pushed through a lot quicker, people would understand, be more engaged with it because you go, I'm up in the people's parliament. We need a new way of dealing with all this. We need to engage people in how the country is run. And we're not going to ever do that in our current parliamentary system. It's broken. It doesn't work. And it should also be done for free. Politics should be free, like it used to be. Do you think back in the days of the in the Romans and the Greeks when they had their Senate and everything that they got a backhander? Yeah, they might have had a goblet of wine here and there, but I don't think it was the corruption we have these days. Hans says, hello, I don't see the reason to promoting live boxing. Oh, he's talking about Asia. Nobody cares. Nobody cares, Hans. Neither should you. Joshua says, the Clash were horrible middle-class wankers. Yeah, they were, absolutely. Whereas the Pistols are authentic, Thomas says, now to do with colour, I just don't like her. She's all talk and bravado. I know, I'm joking. I'm just pulling your leg. Hans says, are Asia as worthless as ELO to you? No, I quite like Asia compared to ELO. ELO are just the devil. Grant says, I like your review of Yes, The Quest. Very insightful view of the release. Very honest without ruling as another piece of crap. Well, again, I'm trying to be honest, Some people didn't like it, but then that's fine. I don't care. Mankey says, all over Europe, the rich versus poor difference has become bigger due to the last decades being a liberal wind. Yet no leftist party can come with a decent story to rally the poor. No, because they've failed them. Because they can't deliver what the poor needs. And the poor needs a break. The poor needs a fair wage. This is why the myth of the EU has been wonderful, because it's allowed, like I say, cheap labour to flood, and they can use the narrative of the lazy Brit. The lazy Brit don't want to do the work. We will do for an honest day's wage. I believed all that shit, right? And then I had a business, and like I said, I had paper boys, and they were paid not very well when I first took it over, but I gave them a pay rise. And when the shop was smashed to fuck, right, smashed to buggery, and we had scaffolding, and there was snow coming through the bloody roof. It snowed heavy, and the boys turned up, and I said to them, look, guys, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. We can deal with this. It's dangerous because, it was a building site. And they fucking stood by me because, I like to think because, one, they like me, but two, I was paying them a decent wage. And it made me evaluate or reevaluate how I considered the youth of this country, because it's easy to throw them under the bus and blame everything on them being lazy. But if you offer them a fucking good job, right, with fucking decent wages, and you treat them decently, they will do that job. They will do it, right? And this is what annoys me. But yeah, if you keep the pay low because we can get Pavel in, and he can send money back to build his castle, in some rural part of Eastern Europe, and then when he's got enough, he can piss off back and live in his castle, because that's what's basically been happening for the last, how long's it been, 15 years? But we don't talk about that, and that's fine. I don't blame Pavel for doing that. Good for you. You fucking won. And those people worked hard to do that. I have no issue with that. But when you create artificial systems that repress that, this is what we're seeing now. Is we're seeing the system going, oh God, how can we deal with this? Because we've got so used to all this cheap labour. All those profits, were made on the back of cheap labour. And the chickens have come home to roost. It's just the way it is. And again, I have no problem with the EU as a trading bloc, but when it affects whole nations the way it did, that's bad. And people don't see it. They don't see it. When you have people leaving wholesale in rural parts of Eastern Europe, they just leave for Germany, for France, for the UK, not so much now, obviously, because there's no work there, so they just move. And all you've got left is the elderly and the children. There's lots. Lithuania has a big issue with that. Just look it up. And that's what the EU's done. The EU has allowed this. Everyone goes, it's fine, it's wonderful. But they don't invest any money in those countries to build an infrastructure, to put business back there, So the people have to kind of do it in a roundabout way by going and getting money and sending it back and trying to start again. And that's just the wrong way of doing things, because it creates these artificial pools of low income, It's almost Dickensian. But I've talked about this before. You know what I think, and I'm probably wrong. I'm probably the wrong guy, because I'm taking people's advantages away from them or whatnot. But it's just how I call it. It's just how I call it. I don't know. But again, I don't have a problem with people coming here. I think it's great. We are the Mongol nation. This is an island that's been invaded and raped many times. Like I said, I'm descendant from the Huguenots who fled religious persecution back in the day. There's probably other bits of me. I don't know. I've never done the DNA test, so I don't have a problem with people coming here. It makes me proud that people want to come here. But But when it really harms the native population, and that's when you start, that's a screen grab. When it harms the native population and the native workforce, and the unions used to worry about this, in the 80s and the early 90s, and then all of a sudden, I think it was when Kinnock fucked off to the EU because he, suddenly decided, oh, the EU's great. Yeah, when he realised he could make lots of fucking money, he took Glenys and his son with him. That's when it changed for Labour and the unions. They thought, oh, we're onto a nice little earning here. Wait a minute, those poor people, they might come over and join the unions. And they might vote Labour. That's how fucking naive they were. But they didn't. They didn't fucking vote for you because they didn't stick around. Daniel says, the problem I have with the left wing today is nowadays have become self-important. Insulate Britain, for example. They think they're important because they can't separate a cause from themselves. Oh, insulate Britain. What a fucking waste of time that is. You know that there's been a campaign for insulation going on in this country for the last fucking 30 years. I mean, crikey. We had it here. Our loft's insulated anyway, but they can't do cavity wall insulation. Some buildings you can't insulate because you've got to have a cavity, i.e. a gap between the breeze blocks and the brick. It's got to be a little gap, and they can fill it with insulation foam, and that helps. The other way is by cladding, and no one really wants to go near cladding at the moment because of Greenfield, So cladding's expensive and it's impractical. In certain buildings it's just impractical to do. So Insulate Britain are idiots. They're absolute morons, right? They should be doing solar power. They should be every fucking roof in this country should have a solar panel on it, and we should be putting solar power back into the grid. That's sensible. That's something that's doable. That's something that the government could get behind. Jesus, if they had their own solar panel company that belonged to the country, we could bring that cost right down, couldn't we? And invest all the profits back into the technology. But no, I'm not running the country. I'm just here talking to you. There are loads of ways of solving this problem, And don't get me started about the whole electric car thing, because there's going to be fights in the streets of this country because there's no infrastructure to deal with multiple electric cars. In places like this, we live in flats. How are they going to do it? Multiple power points on the pavement, people will be fighting for them because there's more than 2, 3. Some places, some people have 3 cars a household. It's impossible. It's an impossible thing to do. Thomas says, this rant really feels how my brain feels. I'm sorry about that. Thomas says, my autistic brother can't even get a disabled badge. You see? Thomas says, agreed, we all get called transphobes for this. But these are the facts. Dan says, people that have gender issues, medically, psychologically conferred, are being cast aside by those who change their gender whatever they want. Exactly. There are people with real problems. This is the thing. There are people that really struggle with it. Meanwhile, there's a guy with blue hair and a beard slipping into the ladies' underwear and saying, today, I'm a woman. There's that recent police thing where the police officer has dual warrant cards because he can come in one day as a woman and another day as a man because gender fluid. And you go, holy fuck. Imagine if he's dealing with a rape case or sex assault case and he turns up dressed as a woman. The woman's going to go, you taking a fucking piss? They've got no idea what they're doing. They've no idea of sensitivity because they don't care about women. This is it. That's all you can draw from it. Because somebody's fantasy trumps everyone else's reality. That's what we're looking at. And that is such a dangerous road to go down, especially when dealing with children. Jesus Christ. Simon said, what's the Dave Chappelle from last week you mentioned? Oh, it was called The Closer. It's on Netflix. It's very funny. Daniel said, if I get labelled as a transphobe for referring as a non-transferring person by their biological gender, I don't care. At the end of the day, my opinion is my opinion as much as it is another person. It's your reality. They've got to respect your reality as much as you've got to respect theirs. That's the fucking kicker. If they say, well, I'm a woman and they've got a full beard, you go, Well, my reality, you look like a man. I'm sorry, don't mean to be rude, but you look like a man, and that's it. And if I've offended you, I'm really sorry. This is the thing, it's about one reality trumping another reality. Wow. But the end game, well, I can't even tell you what the end game is because you've got to figure it out for yourself. Because if I say what the end game is, what they're pushing for, it's imagining the unimaginable. And some people who view this can see, and now with this whole self-IDing as was it transracial and transable? That's what they call it. It's got names. It pushes boundaries further. They're continually pushing boundaries till they get to the one thing that they want. And I can't tell you what that is because you've got to work it out for yourself. Daniel says, unless they have mentally or psychologically defined reasons for the course, i.e. gender dysphoria, and there's also autogynephilia, that's where they get aroused by the thought of becoming a woman. But they're cast aside by people who are pretending they know the gender for no medical reason. That's the thing. Payne says the poor needs to stop being poor. But there are some politicos who need people to be poor so they can claim to represent them. Nobody wants to stay poor. But the politicos don't represent the poor anymore. They represent themselves. There are so many ways we can fix society, but our politics isn't one of them. Because it isn't a. Oh, okay. Let's go back. Right, let's go back to the COVID crisis and how Boris Johnson and his terrible, terrible crew did such a terrible job. They did something which was amazing. They did something which I still can't believe they did to this day. They introduced that furlough scheme. They created a fucking socialist piece of legislation which the Labour Party would never have come up with in a million years. Almost overnight. They just went, we're going to do this and we're going to save businesses and we're going to step in. That I fucking applaud. Yeah, we're going to be paying it back for eternity, but it's a way of, propping up the economy. It's a way of keeping things ticking over. They saved so many people's lives by doing that. Of course, there will be people say, oh yeah, but what about the self-employed? There's always going to be people that fall through the cracks because there is no such thing as perfect legislation. And there'll always be people that exploit the legislation. That's the nature of the game. That's why you don't want to be a politico. That's why you don't want to get involved in this because you can't please everyone. That's the nature of the beast, But just that alone was an amazing thing from a so-called right-wing Tory government to come up with. They're not right-wing. They're quite centrist, actually. Boris isn't a right-winger, That's a myth, Oh, but what about his racist writings for, was it the Spectator or whatever it was, the Times? I forget who he's right for. That's because he was paid to do that. Boris does what he's told, Boris doesn't, Boris is only interested in Boris and pussy. That's all Boris cares about. He doesn't care about anything else. Oh, and money. He likes money, Boris, and pussy. Right? That's it. He's simple. He's simple to work out. He wanted to be prime minister because that's what he was trained to do. He went to the same place same place as Cameron and Osborne, was part of the Bullingdon Club. They were all trained and groomed. They were groomed. Groomed is probably the best description. Groomed to be prime minister, to be leaders. They're no good at anything else. But they were groomed for that. They were groomed for power. They were either going to lead the country or be the head of some multinational. Because they're always patsies. These aren't brilliant people. They're figureheads. The decisions and everything is done by someone else. That's what they're bred for. And that's why he wanted to do it. He was groomed to do this job. That was his ambition. And once he got it, do you think he's happy? Do you think, he wanted to be prime minister, jet around the world, press the flesh, Oh, look, there's Boris. You know, he wanted to do it like Trump did it. But what happened? COVID happened. And he had to fucking put his big boy pants on. He suffered. He suffered. Don't think he's having an easy time. And I hate it because you fuckers make me defend him. And I don't want to defend him. But the alternative is a lot worse. Anthony says, oh God, Anthony G is a complete freak, right? Anthony G is the biggest fucking freak. I think he thinks I'm responsible for, ecological awareness, and he says I like recycling and things like that. He's completely deranged. I should really block him, but his comments make me laugh, and I like clipping them and posting them on Twitter and social media because it makes me laugh. So we're just gonna entertain him because he is a fucking genuine loon, right? And now I don't know if he's just a troll or he really believes what he says, because sometimes he writes stuff that I don't understand because he might be in a library or in a basement somewhere. I don't know. But Anthony G, just enjoy what he's got to say and laugh at him, because this guy's a fucking comedian. He should go on stage. It'd be up there with Michael McIntyre. Hate him. But yeah, Anthony G's a good laugh. I'm not gonna read your comments because I imagine they're pretty stupid. You're gonna call me something like a Marxist. Yeah? And I'm not. You know? Anyway, let's ignore him. Where are we? Let's ignore this. And says, the devil, Love Beach versus Asia's debut. Well, I still probably prefer Asia. Payne goes, the irony of pro-EU types wanting UK to break up in independent countries so they can join the EU. Yeah, and the EU won't want them because they ain't got the clout of London. London is the key. London is the jewel in the crown, you know. But you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out one day. And says, you love bundles, soft machine. Yeah, I do. Isn't that fusion? Not particularly. Haynes says, very British, yeah. Gender is biology. Well, sex is biology. Gender is a construct, but you can't change your sex. The thing is, you can't change your sex. The sex that you are assigned at birth, usually visually, and that is the sex that you are. A man in a dress drops dead in the forest and they find his skeletal remains. They're going to look at the size of his pelvis and his femur, and they're going to go, that's a man. If they find a woman wearing, I don't know, a business suit and a bowler hat and a pinstripe suit and an umbrella with a briefcase, and she dies in the forest, they're going to look at her pelvis and the size of her femur and go, this is a woman. And if they find any genetic material, they can do that and go by DNA. This is a man, this is a woman. But they just happen to be wearing different clothes. Because me putting on a dress doesn't make me a woman, even if I say I am. Pegasus, how's my groove been? Painful. What have you missed? Politics. Thomas says, ignore Anthony G, he's trolling you. I thought so. He is, isn't he? He's a troll. He's just a massive. I don't know if he thinks. I laugh at him. I laugh at all these people. They come on here like they're the great I am, like they've fucking figured out all the world's problems. And they ain't got a fucking clue. They're clueless. You're clueless. I laugh at you. I mock you. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I stand for. You know. So carry on. Make me laugh. Entertain me, my little monkey man. Entertain me. Do your funny little dance and entertain me. Meg Ann says, I don't understand much about politics. I'm a socialist. That'll do. I'm a socialist with a small s. And that I believe that the rich should pull up the poor, and we should achieve some sort of equilibrium. There'll always be rich and poor. That's just the nature of belief. I don't believe that we should have, I don't know, shared wealth, because that's ridiculous. Because what if one man works really hard and makes something of himself? Then he has to give it all up to the guy, the loser who just sits home and plays guitar all day? You know, that doesn't seem right. See what I did there? But anyway, I think I've prattled on, and we've had nearly 50 views. I think you like the political stuff. I think you like it when I'm ranting and raving. But I've got to go to the dentist tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And like I said, my jaw's already hurting, you know, because I think he really bruised me. So I'm gonna sign off. But keep the faith, right? Keep the faith. We need to talk. Everyone needs to talk. The worst thing you can do is shut someone down and say, I don't want to listen to you. Even people with the most extreme views should be given the ability to talk, because you can talk them round. They can see the error of their ways. They can be ridiculed. But if you say no and try and block them, they just go underground, and you make them more dangerous. They end up killing people because they feel powerless. But we need to talk. The whole point of universities and students back in my day was that we went there and you met different people and you talked and you discussed things and you argued and you had a drink and it was about arguing the point. And if you're smart, you can argue a point. But a lot of these people today are too fucking thick. They read too much Harry Potter. How'd that work out for them? And it sent them thick, and they can't argue their point. You know what I'm saying? They can't, because they know they can't win. But keep the faith. Keep the faith. Sensibility will out. It has to. Otherwise, we are doomed as a species. We are doomed as a species because we never learn. We've been talking about saving the environment for 50 years. Nothing's happened. We've been talking about, helping our society, improving our society. We've seen the last 25 years of political stagnation, and the Labour Party did a lot of damage, And this is how I get to this point. It upsets me. It upsets me that politics has failed and is failing. I mean, I believed in Corbyn when he first started. I thought, yeah, this might be different. I thought this might work. But then I realised he was just like everyone else. Just wanted to please everyone. Just wanted to sit on the fence and please everyone. That's not how you rally people. You've got to have a vision. You've got to tell people what you really believe in. That's why I say Blair got in, because people believed him. That's not how Boris got in. People know who Boris is, and they thought this should be a laugh. Ain't it just? Anyway, thank you for watching. It's been a hoot. Pray for me, for I'm going to the dentist again, and it's going to be painful. And and that's that. One where it got all political, I guess. Thanks for watching. There's only one more thing left to say. Is if you can't be good, be safe, but more importantly, don't tell your mother.